All right. So you're thinking about moving to Houston, Texas. You might feel a little different after this one because right here, I've got a list of 10 things on my hit list, 10 of the biggest hangups I hear from families relocating here for work. The stuff people don't realize until they're already here and they're sitting in traffic, sweating, staring at their escrow payment like, what is this? Now listen, this is not a Houston hate video. I've lived here 40 plus years. Houston is my home. But I've also lived in Alaska and I've lived back east, so I've seen different lifestyles. And I'm telling you right now, Houston plays by its own rules. So I'm gonna give it to you friend to friend, no sugarcoating, no fluff. All right, let's dig in. And real quick, comment where you're moving from because I always love seeing where everybody's coming in from. Number one, Houston is massive. Okay, first one is that it's just huge. And this is where out-of-staters get tricked because you look at a map and you're like, oh cool, we'll just live in Houston. Houston is basically like a bunch of cities wearing a trench coat pretending to be one city. Different pockets feel totally different. The vibe changes, the traffic changes, the housing changes, the school situation changes, even your day-to-day routine changes depending on which side of town you land on. That's why you'll hear people say, Houston's an hour from Houston. Sounds funny until you actually live it. So if you like options or variety, you're gonna love it. If you want everything tight, closed, and simple, Houston can feel like a lot. Number two, all right, next one is the commutes. Houston is not about miles, Houston is about time. You can be 10, 12, 15 miles from your job and still be like, why am I doing this to myself? And for families relocating for work, this is a silent killer because you're not choosing a house, you're choosing your daily life. A long commute means less time with your kids, less energy for dinner, less patience for anything, and next thing you know, you're blaming Houston, when the real problem is you picked the wrong side of town for your work schedule. So I'm telling you right now, if you want to actually enjoy living here, your home search has to start with, where is work? What time do you go in? What's your tolerance for traffic? All right, the next one is heat and humidity. Holy moly, if you're not from the South, this is an adjustment. Houston heat is one thing, but the humidity, that's the part that feels personal. After a storm, the sun pops out and it's like somebody opened an oven door and blasted you in the face. Your car feels like a toaster. Your attic feels like you shouldn't even be legally allowed up there. Now personally, I'll still take this over a deep freeze. I've lived in Alaska, I've done the whole why is it dark at 4 p.m. thing, and I'll take warm weather any day. But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend July and August aren't brutal. They are. You learn the rhythm, mornings and evenings outside, midday you're inside, and you plan outdoor stuff like you're scheduling a mission. Next one, and yeah, we gotta talk about this, storms and hurricane season. If you've been here, you already know the sentence, if it's not if, it's when. And for me, I'm telling you right now, Hurricane Harvey was the worst, not even close. Harvey changed Houston. It changed what people take seriously. It changed the questions people ask when they're relocating here. But it's not just hurricanes, it's the regular storms too. Wind, lightning, rain that hit sideways. And what's the biggest lifestyle issue with storms in Houston? It's usually power. Tree heavy areas, north and northeast, the green belt, you've got trees coming down, lines coming down, outages happening. So if you're moving here, have a basic storm stash, water, flashlights, batteries. Don't wait until everything else panics and wipes out the stores. All right, the next one is flooding. And let me say this the right way. This isn't to scare you. This is just Houston reality. Because out-of-staters hear flooding and they assume it's all the same thing. It's not. Sometimes Houston floods like this. It rains so hard, so fast, your street looks like a river. Your backyard looks like a lake, and then 30 minutes later, it drains out and it's like nothing ever happened. That's the Bayou City. Drainage, retention ponds, bayous, water moves. But then there's the other type areas where flood risk is a bigger deal. And that's about elevation, history, and where the water wants to go. So here's the rule. In Houston, you don't guess, you verify. Verify your flood zone, property history, insurance options. Two neighborhoods can be 10 minutes apart and it's totally different story. All right, the next one is property taxes. Everybody moves to Texas and they're like, no state income tax, let's go. And yes, that part's nice, but Texas is gonna get their money one way or the other. And property taxes can be the part that shocks people. But what really gets relocation buyers is the escrow swing, because You think you're locked in, and then the taxes and insurance adjust, and suddenly your monthly payment changes and you're like, excuse me? So the biggest takeaway is don't shop by home price only. Shop the full monthly number, taxes, insurance, HOA, and in some areas, mud taxes. And yes, you can fight the valuation, just know it's not always simple. All right, the next one, number 7, that catches people off is insurance. Depending on where you live in Houston, your homeowner's insurance can vary a lot. And when you've got people asking about flood insurance, wind deductibles, and then suddenly it feels like you need a translator just to understand the quote. So if you're coming from a state where insurance was pretty straightforward, Houston can feel very complex. So this is why I always say when you're comparing areas, we don't just look at the list price, we look at the cost to actually live there. Because taxes plus insurance can turn a great deal into why is my payment so high? Next is schools, school zones, and ISDs. If you have kids, this matters big time. Houston has a ton of districts and school zoning can change street by street. So you'll see a house online and think, perfect, that's a great school. And then you verify the address and you're like, wait, it's zoned where? And then you throw in charters, private schools, transfer options, mud taxes in some communities. It's just a lot if you're trying to figure it out from another state. So relocation rule, we verify school zoning by address every time, and we talk through what your family actually wants because best is different for every kid. All right, this next one is mosquitoes and fire ants. Welcome to the South. Mosquitoes here can be relentless, and fire ants are basically tiny little demons living in the grass. If you've never stepped on a fire ant mound, you'll learn really quick. Now, some people don't get bothered much, other people get eaten alive. It's like the bugs pick favorites. But the point is, if you're relocating and you want to be outside a lot, kids, dogs, backyard life, just know you may need a plan. Repellent, fans on the patio, maybe some backyard treatments. It is manageable, it's just different. And the last one, and this is the one that surprises a lot of relocation buyers. Houston has no traditional zoning like a lot of cities. That can be a good thing because it creates variety and growth, but it can also be a pain because you have a gorgeous little pocket and then 2 streets over, you're like, wait, what is that doing there? So you can't just say, oh, I'll live in this zip code and assume it's all consistent. In Houston, you've got to shop the pocket, the section, the neighborhood, sometimes even the street. And this is why people end up in the wrong area, not because they're dumb, because Houston is complicated. All right, those are 10 reasons you might not like living in Houston, Texas. And if that sounded like a lot, listen, Houston is still an amazing place to live for a ton of families relocating for work. You can get space, options, great communities, and great lifestyle. But it works best when you pick the right area and you come in with your eyes open. So do me a favor. Comment where you're moving from and what your biggest concern is. Commute, flooding, heat, taxes, whatever. Hit subscribe because we post Houston relocation and neighborhood videos every week. And if you're serious about moving to Houston, reach out. We'll hop on a quick call, map out your commute, your lifestyle, and your must-haves, and we'll narrow down the areas that actually fit your family. I'm Jamie Graves with Epic Realty. We'll see you in the next one.